Hey, good. Let's get right into this. So, as everybody has now seen, there are going to be a lot of Social Security changes in the future because the cat's out of the bag. When it comes to fraud and billions of dollars, it started at, 10 billion, 50 billion, 100 billion. We are slowly reaching upwards towards that trillion number of what they are catching for actual fraud within the Social Security Administration. Now, a lot of people, including the employees at the SSA, who essentially will say there's no way that there could be this much fraud. I would like to raise the ante on that question, or rather the statement, and ask you the following. Why is it that Elon, who could be wrong, he could be wrong with some of these things, he could be making statements that aren't accurate, although he has access to the information that would give him the potential of knowing if it's accurate. But I guess the question for me is why are the things that he's saying not turning up inside the actuarial notes of Stephen Goss, who is the chief actuary of the SSA? So, what that means is that how high up does this go where they are modifying documents, within the actuarial system and releasing reports to us that do not include the things that Elon is telling us? So my question to you is why, if we know that there were problems in 2015, as reported by Legacy News, that there were, 6.5 million 112-year-olds, why were we not seeing that same information projected inside these actuarial notes? And I guess my big question here is that bothers me the most is, okay, either Elon is a massive, massive liar when it comes to Social Security benefits, or the cat's out of the bag, and now we have to find out why this was hidden from us to begin with. All right, let's go to the video real quick so we understand exactly what's going on, so that you guys all have a better understanding of what is being said in case you haven't seen it.
It's just common sense. It's not. It's not draconian or radical. I think it's really just saying, let's look at each best interest of the people. And if it is, it's approved. If it's not, we should think about it. So, there's crazy things like we just cursory examination of Social Security, and we've got people in there that are 150 years old. Now, do you know anyone who's 150? I don't. Okay. They should be on the Guinness Book of World Records. They're missing out. So, that's the case where, I think they're probably dead. It's my guess. Or they should be very famous, one of the two. And then there's a whole bunch of Social Security payments where there's no identifying information. Well, why
Big
is
issue
there no
there.
identifying information?
Big issue there.
Obviously, we want to make sure that people who deserve to receive Social Security do receive it, and that they receive it quickly and accurately.
All right. So the point is, that was from the New York Post that they reported that. All right. So the big problem here that nobody's really asking about is why wasn't this information properly reflected in? Oh, hold on. Let me close this thing out. All right. So why wasn't this information projected in their actuarial notes as produced on an annual basis by the Social Security Administration in their actual actuarial publications? So my question to you guys is, okay, what is Elon's intent here? He's getting hate from half the country and the other half absolutely loves him. Why is an audit of the SSA so scary? Are we afraid of the audit and it's going to screw everything up and it's going to become more efficient and a bunch of people are going to get kicked off of benefits? Or is it that we're afraid of potentially Elon doing it, hyper intelligent person, basically, doing things to the program that other individuals wouldn't do? If we swapped Elon with somebody else, if we swapped Elon with, say, Nancy Pelosi, if we swapped Elon with Bernie Sanders, if we swapped Elon with JD Vance, would this change how we perceive this investigation? Why did Elon feel it was necessary, while beside President Trump, to specifically bring up as a Cadillac of the fraud, the Social Security program? Now, there's a lot of ways that this audit can be very scary, right? There's ways that they can change the disability system when assessing whether or not you are severely impaired based off of what you've posted online, what your doctors are saying. And they can have artificial intelligence find how you've improved. And the reality is, and I've spoken with a couple DDS reps on this specifically, that it actually takes quite a bit of work for a DDS rep to find information inside the record to show medical improvement, and as a result, get you kicked off the benefits. It's easier to just do a pass through. Now, as a result of that, I need you to understand something. The next video I'm going to be doing after this talks about something that an undisclosed individual sent to me, which has absolutely horrifying news, specifically when it comes to Social Security disability benefits. But specific to Elon, we have to ask ourselves going forward, what's his plan? Is his plan going to be to streamline essentially the entire IT backend of the Social Security Administration? Because with Biden under Martin O'Malley, and Martin O'Malley did an amazing job, we went from an open system that was having a massive employee, attrition rate. They just couldn't get enough people to work there, to basically a closed door. It's something like $10 to park at from what I'm hearing, the Orlando Social Security office, the local field office. And, basically, if you go there, there's supposed to be categories of people that can walk right in and categories of people that have to get an appointment. But I'm hearing a lot of people, even if they're veterans within those categories, are getting pushed to create an appointment. As a result, we went from an open, you could go there, you could talk with them, to a very closed system where it takes 45 minutes to an hour and a half just to get people on the phone, which is also ironically the main way that you set an appointment to go to the local field office. So we now have a Social Security Administration that's in the absolute worst shape it's ever been in the history of America, creating the earliest forms of Social Security. Because remember, in the very beginning, it wasn't called the Social Security Administration. So, we look at the landmarks. 1930s, they created it. 1950s, we're talking about SSDI benefits, your disability insurance. 1970s, SSI benefits, just a crazy thought that Nixon passed through. And then they keep evolving and evolving and evolving the rules. What is the future here of Social Security? That's what we have to ask, because Elon's doing all of this to create an efficient system that's going to change the face of how Social Security and all of its employees operate. So let's talk about that. Modernizing the IT system. Frank Bisignano is going to go in there and be a large part of that. He'll work with Elon to do that. What is so scary about it? I want you to put it in the comments or put in the chat why you're so afraid of that. Creating more options for you to log into your online system and see your online bio, right? You'll be able to see more information. You'll be able to see what's going on, etc. Also, going ahead and finding a way to better resource manage what's going on at the SSA. Now, I think Martin O'Malley and a few other Democrats made a really good point that the SSA operates on of what it actually pays out. Now, is that a de facto way of saying the SSA is hyper efficient? Well, I think the better argument that it's hyper efficient is that it's lost massive amounts of employees, is at a 50-year low, and it's still quasi operating pretty well with a skeleton crew. That, I think, is the best argument that it's efficient. Customer service is shit now. You can't get them on the phone, right? You can't go to Social Security before. So the problem we're looking at now is, what is this panic mode button program, this panic mode button Social Security Administration look like under Elon, Trump, Frank Bisignano changes? I think another thing is that they're going to use a lot of those analytics to massively and quickly go through all those ancient people that are still on the payroll. Now, they have a special form that they send out where you have to respond within 60 days if they think there might be a problem, an issue, or whatever. And they always send it out at 85. And then you get even older, they send it out again. But the thing I think that's interesting about this entire situation is that when you go look at the data that is basically created by the Social Security Administration, they don't allow the user to see the oddity of a potential 150-year-old still being in existence. They don't give data collection information to the reader about how many individuals are receiving a check that have their data pulled. Now, I want to make this very clear. Elon's right now pushing and looking for fraud and similar fault. Okay. That's supposed to be the job of OIG, and OIG does a pretty good job of it, Office of Inspector General. But I want to point something out. I can very likely assume, and I think you guys could assume with me on this, that what he's doing is taking all of these low information or hardly any information payments. He's tracking their bank accounts to find out who these checks are going to. And what he's going to find is that some of those checks go out of the country, and some of those checks don't go to Americans, and some of those checks go to political family members, and some of those checks go to people that have absolutely no reason of having them. Now, when this happens, it invalidates our belief in the standardized system that exists, which is, of course, the actuarial department of the SSA. Because then all of the push and the what's going on? Hey man, why is this happening? All of that comes to fruition, and we realize that not only was the SSA aware of these problems, they were complicit with the fraud for these individuals that were set up with specialty accounts. Now, here's the problem that I usually run into when talking to people who work at the SSA at different levels. One of the things I've realized when discussing things with them on the phone is that number one, they don't have access at the highest levels that can set up things that, basically are outside of the parameters that create safety to remove potential fraud. The next thing is talking about essentially what is the best way that somebody could fraud the system. And the conversations usually go back to the same thing. It's payment on kid benefits that are survivors of a parent that passed away. They create kids, create social security numbers. They have those benefits going to the bank account, and then they transfer them. And then sometimes they catch those people, receiving those benefits as they get transferred from this bank account to this bank account. And then one of them that OIG caught actually put it into a PayPal account, then swapped it into their account. The point I'm getting here is we need to be, as a group, highly aware of what changes are coming to the Social Security Administration, because some are going to be absolutely god awful and some are going to be okay. One thing that I would like to see, Trump and Elon put some effort into is studying the cost of living adjustment and how it has abused the American people. Because if they do that, that would be one of the greatest fixes to the Social Security system that we've ever seen. The nonprofits found that over $500 per month has been vacuumed away from your benefits. Over $500 per month have been vacuumed away from your benefits as a result of changing the cost of living adjustment math from, I think it was 1999 forward to the current date, which means that you should be getting over $500 more per month, each and every one of you, with each and every one of these programs, all the way from SSI through to retirement. I would like to see that. But right now, we're not seeing that. What we are seeing is basically claims of fraud accounts, claims of accounts set up that are at such a high level that they didn't even have filled in information about who, what, when, where for payment systems. So I just want to kind of tell you, that they have the Republicans, and I come from the middle on this thing, although the Republicans scream at me in the comments. Usually it's about religious stuff. And the Democrats scream at me in the comments, usually about how I'll say something and it'll just infuriate them. And I've never seen so much rah coming from one. It's just like, dude, you just chill out, relax. Everything's going to be okay. At the end of the day, it's going to be okay. The bottom line is this: from the middle perspective, when we look at the future of the Social Security Administration, I see them legislating to try and catch more fraud. They're going to probably push to try and catch more fraud when it comes to Social Security benefits for disability, right? Making sure people are truly the severely impaired person that they claim they are. When it comes to people receiving Social Security benefits after their parent has passed away. Now, a lot of people will say, well, I know this facility and that facility and this facility will go ahead and report when that parent passes away. Yeah, you hope. Rule do that. And that's under the assumption that the parent passes away and doesn't end up in the backyard under the, lovely flower bed. Okay. And, look, these people aren't idiots. They're going to go ahead and plant a special tree there that has, environmental protections. So at the end of the day, my point with this is there's always workarounds with how this system is being created and then how to get around it because the SSA system can be hacked. I've worked with it for a very long time now. I've worked and I've seen things being done by judges and field office reps that were not on the level, that were not proper, that were not correct. And they were workarounds, right? One of them I shared with you guys back in the day was that, essentially if the judge said something on the record or did something on the record that the judge didn't like during a hearing, magically that judge's clerk would have an error, issue, or erasing of that audio file, and they would have to do a new hearing. Okay. That's just common practice. That's just the way it works. If the judge makes a comment, says something, maybe the comment was racial, maybe the comment was rude and obnoxious, and this or that, maybe the comment was whatever. It's just something that the judge shouldn't have said. All of a sudden, magically, the recording has a problem, the file has an error, it didn't it didn't get exported properly, and then boom, we have to do another hearing. Okay. That we accept that as the attorneys because that's just how it is. That's how it works. You know what I mean? And the reality is, and one thing I say to you guys is that those recordings are controlled by the SSA. And you will notice that as part of every single Social Security hearing for disability benefits, one of the first things that they say right up front is the SSA is the only group allowed to make a recording of this proceeding. And the first thing they ask people in all these hearings is, are you in a private place away from people and not recording? And you have to affirm that on the record. So if you then magically come out with a recording thereafter, after they've destroyed a recording, guess what? Federal crime. You are the criminal, even though crime acted of the erasing of the audio. Okay. So, bottom line is, I think Elon is a money guy. I think he's an efficiency guy. I think he's going to try and manipulate the Social Security Administration into becoming more self sufficient. Now, the next video that we're going to be doing is essentially on a budget released by Florida that has to do with Social Security benefits. It's not good. It is not good at all. I want to say one final thought when it comes to this. Right now, for the next 2 years, they have the House, the Senate, and the Oval Office. So what they want to put through, what they want to change, they're going to do it. And a lot of people are saying, yes, the judicial section of this is really going to slow down Elon. Elon's already gotten access to all the stuff, backed it up on a server. He's already done what he can to go ahead and figure things out, had a team review it. He's got probably a lot of people. I don't know who's funding it. Maybe him, who knows, who are pushing to go through all this data. The judges are not going to be able to slow this thing down. The judges are not going to be able to end this thing from happening. So I want you to not freak out about the audit. I want you to start thinking about what legislation will come down the line that will affect Social Security benefits. Because Donald Trump's plan, which is incredibly well laid out, incredibly well thought out, is to get rid of FICA taxes by having a sovereign wealth fund and also using the immense model, and it's a very complex document, I can assure you, of drill, baby, drill. The whole document is it's just a title. It's drill, baby, drill. That could potentially be legislated. So in order to curb that, I have been working on, and I hadn't released it, but I am going to be releasing it shortly, my ideas for things that he could do to help people with legislation to fix the Social Security system. I have no power over the bigger picture, but I do have the ability to get this to people in the Republican Party to start to curb the ball a little bit. We are at that phase. Just so you know, this week, you're going to be seeing a lot of information released about the fraud that's occurring inside the Social Security Administration when it comes to making payments. Okay. And this is the way it's going to come down. Elon is focusing on the programs that he wants to hit the hardest, the fastest, the soonest, right? USAID, Social Security Administration, Veteran Affairs benefits, Treasury, IRS, da da da. These are your big hit categories, right? Those are the ones that he's focusing on first to create these documents, these files on, to make the case as to why he needed to do the audit. So the whole point here, just so that we're all on the same page, is that at the end of the day, we need to think about legislation that he's going to potentially pass, because the audit, it's already done. He's already gotten access. He's going that way. Let's talk about the next video. The next video is going to be going through essentially DDS payment systems, which has to do with the Social Security Administration when it comes to how many employees the DDS group is going to have at the state level. Before we go to that video, remember, Social Security benefits are federal, but the feds pay state level people to go ahead and essentially, basically, adjudicate the claims at the initial filing and reconsideration levels. After reconsideration, we get away from DDS, the state-based people, and go directly to the administrative law judges and then the administrative appeal judges, okay? And those appeal judges and the federal ALJs, those are all federal people. But the first two levels of adjudicators are state-based. We're going to talk about how many people they have left working at DDS and how much funding they're going to put towards it going forward. It's pretty scary stuff. So anyways, I will catch you all a little bit later. Please remember to like and subscribe. If you want to really help me out and give me a good boost, head over to Google, type into Disability Resolution Law Firm or Disability Resolution Florida, and leave some stars there. Please remember, tomorrow I work with the homeless. I go to a homeless office, they line them up, and I basically go through and process their claims, because basically other law firms don't want to work with them because they're mostly SSI people, and those claims just don't make money anymore. The economy shifted. It got really tough to own a business, and everything got really expensive. People talk about the grocery store. Please remember, there's an even more grocery store called the business grocery store. Buying business stuff, vastly more expensive than it used to be. All right. With that said, so if you want to call, you're not going to get me tomorrow at the office. You can call, you get back office, that's fine, but you just won't get me. So if you want to call on Thursday if you want to get me. Also, I go live on Mondays and Thursdays, so you won't see me going live today to answer questions for free. And also, if you need a 1 hour, mini contract is below where we do the private sessions. I'll see you at the next video in about 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll catch up from there. I'm going to keep it short because I've got to wake up in about 6 hours from now. All right, I'll catch you soon. We'll see you at the next video, and we'll go from there. Thank you so much. Attorney Walter Hnot. Bye-bye.